Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18 Tarot and Books. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. In this video, I would like to share the planners that I will be working with in 2024. I will be working with 3 books: the Honeycomb Almanac, Kinbor Weeks, and a Hobonichi Techo Planner. And these really, broadly speaking, cover astrology study, transit tracking, and weather observation in the Honeycomb, day-to-day planning and kind of life organizing in the Kinbor, and memory keeping in the Hobonichi Techo Planner. So in this video I want to talk a little bit about each one and share kind of what is staying the same versus changing in my planner and journaling practice going into the new year. So I will just mention a 4th book that I use that I won't really be talking about much in this video, and that is that I always have a plain lined notebook going at any given time, and I use the plain notebook for journaling longer divinations, whether that's tarot spreads or geomancy shields, whatever kind of divination work I'm doing, and also sometimes just for general kind of journaling, writing out my thoughts or my feelings. I always have a lined notebook going. Now, this is not something that I replace or change over at the new year. I just pick up a new lined notebook when the one that I'm currently using is full. So this is the one that I'm using currently. I've used all different lined notebooks. I like trying different paper, but I really like these notebooks. They're very affordable. The paper is great, very pen friendly. So I do have that book for longer writing and longer spreads. So these are the 3 books that I want to talk about in this video, though: the Honeycomb, the Kinbor, and the Hobonichi. And I will just start by saying that quite a lot is actually staying the same for me from 2023 into 2024. I liked a lot about how I organized things this year, so I am continuing. I had a Honeycomb for 2023, but I only got the PDF. This year I got the paper version, as you can see. I used an undated Kinbor Weeks for 2023, and this time I've got a dated one. But the size and shape and layout of the book is largely the same. And this year I used a Kinbor Techo page a day, but I've switched to the Hobonichi for 2024, but the books are quite similar. So that's the kind of general overview. And I'll just kind of walk through how I'm going to use each of these. And I've been, of course, decorating them a little bit and getting organized. So this, for folks who are unfamiliar with it, is the Honeycomb Personalized Almanac. So you can see here it has my name in the corner, my sun sign of Pisces, moon sign of Taurus, and ascendant sign of Sagittarius in glyphs on the front. And this you can order with your own birth chart information included. And there's a lot you can customize about this. So for example, there's always different artwork that you can choose from by different artists in different styles. There's a kind of default one, and then you can pay a couple of dollars extra to get an art style of your choosing, which I did this time. You can see here some of the specifications of my book. I'm not sure if you can actually because of how far out we're zoomed. You can see, though, here in the top corner, I've chosen a 12-month book. You can get a 6-month book as well. In tropical zodiac whole sign houses, I've included the solar return, I've included Chiron, I've included lunation charts and note pages. So these books, the Honeycomb Almanacs, the important thing to know about these really is that this is pure data. This doesn't tell you anything about interpretation. This doesn't really teach you about astrology. It does have some reference charts in it, for example, a glyph key, but it's not the kind of astrology planner where it's kind of explaining the significances of different lunar phases, for example. Nothing like that. This is just straight data, and they explain how to interpret the data as they've written it. So there's my birth chart. Now you know. My solar returns for 2023 and 2024. It includes all of the new and full moons for the year and some stations, outer planet natal transits. Each month includes an overview of the different transits and ingresses and lunar phases for that month. And then you get a kind of weekly layout. And this side having the note pages versus just having more dates over here, this is an optional thing. You know, if you just wanted to get a PDF version of this, which you can for less money than the paper, you might opt, for example, to leave these note pages out, right? Or maybe you leave them in because you print it and get it bound yourself, whatever you like. So it includes mundane transits in gray and transits to my natal chart in this teal color. And so it covers the entire year like this. At the beginning of each month, you do get a kind of overview of that month in terms of the lunations, stations, mundane transits, ingresses, and outer planet natal transits as well. And so there's lots of room for notes in here. Towards the end of the book, you also get inner planet natal transits there. You get, I have the lunation charts. So here we have a chart for each new moon and full moon in the year. These are again optional. And there's more things that you can include if you want to that I haven't included. So there are definitely more extras. You get a full ephemeris keyed to your location at the back and a little bit of extra paper towards the end. So this is where I will be taking notes on the impacts of different transits as I experience them, where I will be taking notes from the astrology forecast that I read, notes on kind of my own chart and things that I'm experiencing. My lunar cycle intentions can go in here. So for folks who don't know, I'm studying astrology as part of my Druidry studies. My apprenticeship in the AODA is including a study of astrology. So I'm spending a fair amount of time on this. And I've been doing some of this year already, as well as weather tracking. So this year I started tracking weather and its impacts on me and what the kind of environment is doing. And I've been doing that in a traveler's notebook. So I've been tracking things like sunrise and sunset times, wind speeds, directions, temperature, air pressure, humidity, all these kinds of things, and noting any kind of shifts. This I found interesting, but I'm not going to continue the weather tracking at this kind of granular of a level. Where I've found myself now at the end of the year is, just find a page to show you, is much more based on kind of experience and stepping outside and writing about what the weather is doing, as opposed to kind of all of this numerical stuff. And there's a couple of reasons I made that switch. Mostly, I really don't like having my cell phone on me. I don't really like having my cell phone at my tarot table and to be like kind of looking up weather information, and that is not my favorite. I would rather focus on, you know, my experience of my surroundings than those numbers. If I miss the numbers, I can always go into a weather program and like look up, you know, what was every day in the last week like at, say, noon, just to key into things like how sunrise and sunset times are changing, for example. But this I think is going to work a lot better. I did get the PDF Honeycomb last year, and so I was pasting things into this traveler's notebook. I pasted the ephemeris in, for example, and different charts and things. Needless to say, having it all written out in here instead of trying to write out natal transits like by hand from a digital document, I think is going to make life much easier. I will say I do not like the paper that this is on. It is not going to be something I can use my fountain pens in. But I really, really love the honeycomb. I'm really happy to have the paper one again. I haven't had a paper one in a number of years, and I'm excited to use this. So this will be mostly a book that lives at home on my table that I kind of check in with, and not one that I'm kind of toting around, right? It's more for kind of notes and reflection and tracking than it is for planning per se, though certainly you could just use this as a regular day planner if you wanted to. So that is the Honeycomb Almanac. The next book that I will talk about is the Hobonichi Techo Planner. For folks who are unfamiliar, Hobonichi is a brand of planner that uses a paper called Tomoe River. It is a widely known paper in the fountain pen community. It's very thin, but it holds ink very well. Hobonichis are a joy to use. Hobonichi makes a number of different shapes and sizes of planners. They make a Weeks, very similar to this Kinbor, for instance, as well. And this is a page-a-day book. Very similar to the Kinbor planner that I used this year. So I'll keep using my same cover in my new Hobonichi Techo. And this is a memory keeper for me. So this is not a planner for me that is about getting me where I need to be in terms of appointments and things like that. But it is a planner that I like to use for things like daily tarot and oracle draws, for keeping note of books I've read in a given year, keeping note of things that I've done like a card of the year, sigil and word of the year, all of these kinds of things. And these, as memory keeping books, are books that I will keep beyond the given year, right? These are not books that I'm going to throw out. So because these are different brands, the kind of things you get at the front and back of the books vary a little bit, but the main pages are very similar. So I'll just show, I want to show one that I haven't written all over here. It's a page-a-day book, so you get, as it sounds, 1 page per day. Same thing here in the Hobonichi Techo Planner. The reason that I went for the Hobonichi Techo Planner over the Kinbor this year, the Hobonichi Techo Planner has a bigger grid, and with my handwriting I prefer the bigger grid over the smaller grid. But both of them have nice paper, they're both well-made books, and I think either one is a great choice. So, how I will be using this year, I will zoom in a little bit. Okay. My Hobonichi Techo Planner 2024. This layout of 2 months per page is the one layout in any of the books that I have this year that I don't know what I'm doing with. I'm thinking about making this a tracker for my daily draws and kind of color coding for each day, whether the 2 tarot cards I draw per day are a major, a pentacle, a sword, a cup, or a wand. What holds me back from doing this is that I don't really know that this information is particularly useful. I could generate a color-coded tracker like this for 2023's draws, and I feel no desire to do that at this point at the end of the year, so I don't feel particularly invested in this as an idea for 2024. So I don't know what I'm going to use this for yet. This section is still up in the air. If you use books like this and you use this for something other than tracking in a color-coded way, let me know because I'm curious. Okay, so once you get through there, this is going to be the kind of most straightforward memory keeping layout. So what I envision using this for this year is writing just something about my day on each of the days of the year. So things that I've enjoyed doing, maybe tarot spreads that I did, maybe outings that I've been on, maybe, events that I've attended, or, new recipes I've tried. Something that just is a memory of the day that I would like to keep, things that I have appreciated. That is what this is going to be. Just a kind of shorthand so that I can remember my year in positive terms and the things that I've done and enjoyed. So it does include a few pages ahead into 2025 at the end as well. Then you get this kind of blank page layout. It says turning the page to a new year at the top, but is otherwise just a plain grid. This is where my word of the year, sigil of the year inspired by that word, and perhaps something like a card of the year or maybe an inspiring quote will go. I will talk more about word of the year and sigil at another time. I will be crafting all of that in the context of winter solstice ritual. Tentatively, my word of the year for 2024 is intentionality, thinking about living intentionally. So I will be working on that, and that's what I'm probably going to be choosing. From there, each month in this book has one lined page at the beginning. This, I needed to use for something that is monthly, obviously. The only thing that I really do monthly in my practice is Animal Gnosis with Tegan of Cosmic Creeper. So this is where Animal Gnosis is going to live. I will write down the animal that is chosen here, and things that I learn about that animal, messages from that animal will go on that page, and I can kind of fill that page over the course of the month. Then you get the core of the book, which is the daily pages. This is where my daily draws live, which is exactly what I did in my 2023 Kinbor as well. Daily draws get journaled out here, so I just write the cards at the top and write my impressions, and sometimes I'll go back at the end of the day and write a few sentences about how they kind of played out in my day. Something I've been doing lately that I'm definitely going to continue is, once I've kind of journaled out those cards, is distill the message into a single sentence to kind of carry me through the day. This is really to help me remember my cards throughout the day and not just forget them the second I leave the tarot table. So that's the bulk of the book, is those daily pages. At the back, I've made a couple of sections. There's just some blank dot matrix paper. So here I've made some sections for new divination tools into my collection in 2024, most used tools in 2024, so that will be kind of filled out at the end of the year. Classes and workshops, trips and adventures, and then I've left the rest of it for books read. So I can fill in the books read, by month, here towards the end of the book. Then you get a section of important contacts that I won't be using. Some extra pages in here. This planner is in English. Most of Hobonichi's are not. This is a My 100 that is sometimes included in these books, where you just get 100 lines. I think I'm going to try something again that I've tried a couple of years ago, which was kind of 100 moments of awe, or things that inspired awe or reverence. So this tends to turn out to be a lot of kind of nature observation type things, but sometimes it's just kind of weird facts. So that's what I'm going to use my 100 for this year. This section in the book was initially something called Interview with Yourself, and it had some questions in it. But I noted that there were 12 of them, and I figured, why not put my sun sign season forecasts in here, starting with, the first sun ingress into Aquarius. After 2024 begins, I do geomancy forecasts for that, so I figure I can just kind of shorthand write out some thoughts here. I write it out much more extensively in my lined notebook, but I could just put some reminders here so that I can visualize them all in one place. Then you get some extra things at the end of the book. So that is my plan for the Hobonichi Techo Planner. Next up is the Kinbor Weeks book. This is what I will be using for planning, day-to-day, getting where I need to go, appointments, and you know, this is the book of the 3 that I'll be carrying around with me, right? This lives in my bag and is on me pretty much all the time. This is going to be very similar to something that I did this year. I had a Kinbor Weeks this year. I had an undated one, whereas this one is already dated for 2024. But the book's layouts are very, very similar, and I'm using it in functionally the same way for the most part. I didn't really use every layout in the book in 2023, but I want to this year. So it has Year of the Dragon scales on it, and a baby in a dragon suit at the front for fun. So going through the layouts in this one, the first set of layouts, I just want to make sure I haven't written anything too personal in here before I start showing it off. Okay, sure, I can show this. Is this kind of tracker page, which I've chosen to use for commemorative times, birthdays, and other dates that I want to remember. So I've got some birthdays in here, sun sign ingress is here, and then commemorative times like Black History Month in February, International Women's Day, IDRD, and so on. I like having those days in my planner somewhere because often there are events in my community I want to go to. Maybe there's a readathon themed around it, so I like to have those all written down. And these are things I can copy forward into the next year's planner. The next layout in this book is the month across 2 pages spread, calendar grid. And what I'm going to do here is take that single sentence distillation of my daily draw that I come up with while I'm journaling my daily draw in my Hobonichi Techo Planner, and I'm going to write them into these boxes. What I really wanted to avoid this year is a division between this becoming the mundane book and the Hobonichi Techo being the kind of spiritual practice book. That's not a distinction that I want to cultivate in my life, so there is some repetition between the books, but that's so that I can carry parts of my practice with me in the book that I carry around all the time. So I'll write in my messages of the day from my daily draws as I go through the year, and at the end of the month, I'll have all of those messages there. And so I'll always have my daily draw message with me, which will help me remember it throughout the day as opposed to just drawing it and forgetting it. After this set of layouts for the month, we get this single page layout with some grid paper up here and monthly boxes at the bottom. Here again, some repetition. I'm going to have my sigil of the year, word of the year, maybe a quote, maybe a card of the year. I'm going to talk about the card of the year at another time. And for the month's boxes down here, I'm thinking maybe a picture of the animal chosen for Tegan's animal gnosis and a couple of keywords that I can fill in over the course of the year so that I have that to carry with me as well. I'm just pulling this away to make sure that nothing overly personal gets shown in here. Okay, so the bulk of this book is a weekly layout with the days of the week on the left and grid paper note space on the right. I really, really like this layout. So here you can see Kelly Reading Skills Week 4. I'm taking the reading skills class with Kelly Fitzgerald at The Truth and Story. So I've written that into my planner already. I've also added stickers for the first quarter, full moon, third quarter, last quarter, and new moon phases, and written in the signs there. This one doesn't come with any astrological references at all, so I did put those in. And that's where all of my appointments and things are going to live, all of my commitments. And I use the right-hand side, the grid paper, for things like to-do lists, even grocery lists, whatever I need to write down. If somebody, makes me a recommendation, of a book or something, maybe I would write it down there. At the end of the book, there is a index page here, which I'm going to use as an index page. And then there's a bunch of blank grid paper. I am not dedicating this to anything in this book. This will just get filled up over the course of the year with notes. Maybe if I go to a public talk or a book event or something like that, I can take notes in here, and then I can just keep track of what's there in the index. So what this becomes, you know, your guess is as good as mine, just overflow for daily note taking, really. Okay. So now towards the end of this book, what I have, I've pasted in my birth chart there. I like to have that with me all the time. Some very basic keyword charts that I made about planets, houses, signs, and aspects. Then there's this page. There was a 21-day plan. I don't have a 21-day plan. So I titled this Sun and Moon. See the title up here, Sun and Moon. And what I've written in here, each box, if you can see it, there's a box for each new moon, as well as a box for each of the points on the wheel of the year. So the 21-day plan includes the 13 new moons and the 8 spokes of the wheel. Which for me I call by the, the Druid names, Alban Eiler, Alban Hefen, Alban Elfed, and Alban Arthen, and then midwinter, mid-spring, midsummer, and mid-autumn. So here I'll put, shorthand of kind of divinations and things that I've done on those days. Again, this is really ultimately repeating things that are going to be in much more detail in other places, but that I want to be able to carry with me as reminders. So that's the function of that page. Then we get the To Explore page, and this is where, I write down decks that I might be interested in looking more into, and I can kind of check them off if I end up choosing them for my collection, or scratching them off if I decide against doing that for some reason, or leaving them written down in perpetuity if I'm being indecisive or the decks are forthcoming. Now, there's 25 lines per page, and there's 2 pages of this. I don't anticipate exploring 100 different decks in 2024, but I'm leaving myself the space. If I find that I'm really not using it, then I'll probably use this second set of list paper for something else. For 2023, I used about 45 lines. So I don't know if I'll make another list or not, but there's space there for that. And then in the back of the book, there's just some extra pages, which I haven't really covered with anything. Realistically, probably what this will end up getting used for is like fountain pen ink sampling. And then I have my blotting paper tucked in at the back. So that is my planner system 2024. I'm quite excited about it, and I'm excited about it because it really is not so different from 2023, which means that a lot about this year's organization system did work quite well for me. It's just really been some fine-tuning, so I'm really happy with what I've come up with here, and looking forward, of course, to decorating these books throughout the year, and filling them up with learnings and explorations and questions and all kinds of good memories. So that's what I'll be using. I love day planner season. I look forward to seeing other folks' videos on this topic, and I've been enjoying the ones that I've seen already. Let me know in the comments if you have particular planners that you love and that you use every year, or if you use any of these, let me know. I would love to hear about it. I like stationery very much. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night. Bye.